You little tramp. Look me in the eyes and promise you'll stay away from my son. Katie Smith stared up through tears at Margot Reeves, towering over her, a sharp javelin in hand. She had wrenched Katie off the track by the hair and pinned her to the bleachers. Let me go! Margot brought the javelin up over her head, and Katie saw her life flash before her eyes. Margot, I love your son. We're going to get married. That was just the beginning of their bright future. Katie and Logan were college athletes and lovers. Passion ran thick in their blood. They had planned to attend the next 2 Olympic Games together. Logan, the Winter Olympics for hockey, and Katie, the Summer Olympics for track. But Margot wasn't going to let that happen. She loomed over Katie with murderous eyes. Not if I can put a stop to it. But Katie screamed, Stop! You'll hurt your grandchild! Momentarily, Margot hesitated. You're pregnant? Katie nodded, her face wet with tears. Yes. Please, don't hurt us. We're your family. Logan's family. Margot shook her head in disbelief. Does my son know about this? Katie hung her head. The pregnancy had come out of nowhere. She was barely 8 weeks along. She hadn't had a chance to tell Logan. And now, with Margot hovering over her with murder in her eyes, she never would. You'll never be a part of this family, Katie. The Reeves name will never be yours. You're just an inconsequential little girl. My son, Logan, he's destined to become a great politician, like the rest of his family. I won't let some whore and her baby hold him back. Katie shook her head. She and Logan had only been together for a few months, but they had fallen for each other hard and fast. Katie had never had a connection with anyone like this before, had never known a love like theirs was even possible. She knew Margot was wrong. Logan was destined to be a great athlete and an even better father. But Margot was ready to end their dreams in one swing of the javelin. Katie pleaded with her. Please, Margot, I understand you want what's best for your son, and I do too. Katie begged for her life. What do you want? Margot bared her teeth. Leave my son alone. For good. Disappear. Katie didn't want to walk away from the love of her life. Everything inside her screamed to fight back. But she had to protect her and Logan's unborn child from Margot's threats. I'll stay away from Logan. I promise, just don't hurt the baby. Margot sneered. You think I'd trust a simpleton like you with my son's future? No, I'm taking matters into my own hands. And that's when Margot brought the javelin down, fast and swift, goring Katie through the stomach. Ah! Katie clutched her stomach, covered in blood pooling on her jersey and gushing down from her shorts. My baby! Help! Helpless, Katie could only scream as Margot walked away. Then Katie lurched awake, her bedsheets wet with perspiration. She wiped her forehead. How long would she be haunted by memories of that day 4 years ago? Katie scrambled out of bed, just beating her 6 a.m. alarm. You're okay. You're gonna be okay. It's what she always told herself after she had a nightmare, revisiting that terrible day. But it never got easier. Katie pulled herself together, stepping over children's coloring books and stuffed animals to find her slippers, then padded down the stairs. In her modest apartment kitchen, Katie checked the calendar. It was littered with notes in red that reminded her of what had come to be the most urgent thing in her life. Tommy's chemotherapy, hospital visit, blood transfusion. Katie held her head in her hands, a dull ache forming. Since that day, Margot had changed the course of her life forever. The attack had sent her tumbling into a pit of endless struggles. Her injuries had put an end to her Olympic running dreams. And worst of all, the stabbing had almost caused her to lose her baby. After several emergency surgeries in the ER, Katie managed to save her unborn baby. But Tommy had been born prematurely with endless complications. Katie had slept day after day in the NICU next to her tiny baby's plastic crib, praying the little tubes keeping him alive would work. Doctors warned that due to the trauma when he was in the womb, Tommy's immune system had been compromised and his life would be difficult. Difficult had turned out to be an understatement. Katie fixed a glass of warm milk and traipsed into the next room, where a small hospital bed was adorned with toys and decorated with a smattering of hockey stickers. Katie leaned down, shaking the small, bald boy sleeping quietly in the sheets. "Tommy, baby, wake up. Today's the day." Tommy's eyes peeped open, and once he saw his mother's face, her tousled brown hair, he jumped up and hugged her. "Mommy, I was worried I wouldn't wake up today and get to see you." Katie tried hard to put on a brave face for her son, now facing a constant and life-threatening battle with leukemia. Tommy had developed a profundity no 4-year-old child should have to bear. "Don't worry, honey. I'm right here." He clutched her even tighter. "I never want to leave you, Mommy. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. If I'm happy with you, why would I die?" Katie shook her head, trying to keep strong. "You're not going to die, baby. We're going to get you better. That's why we have to go now." She scooped her son up in her arms, adjusting his hockey-themed pajamas to cover his delicate skin. Katie prayed that these new procedures would give her son more time. More time for forehead kisses, more time for sharing smiles and laughs, and more time to finally get out on the ice and play hockey. Hockey was all Tommy dreamed of, and every time he talked about hockey, Katie couldn't help but hear Logan's voice in her son's. Even though they had never met, and Katie had never mentioned his father, they were so much alike. She hoped that Tommy would make a full recovery, so that he could one day live his dream, especially since Katie hadn't been able to live hers. She had cut Logan off completely after Margot's attack. It was a dose of double heartbreak. Each time Logan called after she left him without a word, the pain in his voicemails nearly broke her. But she had no choice. She had to keep her unborn child safe. And a part of Katie couldn't help but wonder if Margot was right. Maybe she wasn't good enough for Logan. Maybe he was better off without her. After several months, Logan stopped calling, and they never spoke again. And Tommy, despite never having a father, learned to cope. Katie looked at the clock and gasped. "It's 6:30 already. Come on, let's get you dressed." Katie and Tommy rushed out of the house and walked toward Chestertown's downtown medical center. Chestertown, Pennsylvania was a quiet town, marked by turn-of-the-century townhomes and stone cobbles. But this morning, the town was buzzing with a contagious energy. As they walked toward the hospital plaza, passerbys glowed with anticipation. "Did you hear? The new elite center comes today. He's gonna take us to the Stanley Cup. The Bobcats are coming back. It's about time." "Is it true, Mommy? Are the Bobcats getting a new center today?" Katie had been so bogged down with trying to make ends meet that she hadn't had time to debrief on local hockey news. And hockey had become a painful reminder of her and Logan's past relationship. She had heard that after school, Logan went on to become one of the best players in the NHL, and the premier team, the Grey Wolves, had snatched him up. Every time the TV turned on, she'd slink off to quell any reminders of their heartbreaking conclusion. But for Tommy, it was all he lived for. The Bobcats were Tommy's favorite team despite their bad luck in recent years. so any new developments were more exciting than Santa coming to town. I don't know, baby, but it sounds like it. We're gonna win the Stanley Cup! Tommy skipped into the hospital lobby. Katie prayed the rumors were true. They needed some good news to hold them over. As they reached the treatment center, Katie was sweating after hustling across town to make their appointment. She grabbed the sign-in sheet. "We're here." One nurse gave Katie a wary look. "With only a minute to spare, Miss Smith. Might I remind you that it takes a long time to get patients set up for treatment, and many people are waiting?" Katie nodded apologetically. "I'm sorry, it's just me. I'm doing the best I can." Katie hated how little sympathy the nurses and doctors had for her being a single mother. "Yes, we know, Miss Smith. Also, your balance is still unpaid." The nurse handed her an invoice. The total menacingly read $800. "I can pay that now." Tommy tugged on Katie's scrubs, concern in his eyes. "Mommy, are you sure?" Katie smiled, holding it together. She pulled out her credit card and slapped it on the counter. "You can put it on here." Katie knew that this would only add to their mountain of debts for Tommy's treatments, rent, and expenses. But she didn't have a choice. For their little family, this was life or death. Katie watched as the nurses took Tommy back to his treatment room. "I'll be back when you're done, okay, buddy? You can do this." "I'll be strong for you, Mommy." Those words hung over Katie her entire shift at the Elite Physical Therapy, the clinic where she worked. It was a tough job, and she struggled to make ends meet. But it was rewarding. Katie might have had to give up her career as a pro athlete, but at least she was still helping other people realize their dreams. She was lost in thought when Serena, her colleague, rushed in, a phone in her hand. Her face was aglow with excitement. "Katie, there's an event happening at Ironside Arena. Make-A-Wish is asking if Tommy wants to go." Katie almost fell backwards. She had applied her son to Make-A-Wish every year since he got sick. Tommy's chemo treatments were about to start, and so was hockey season. If he got selected to meet a member of the Bobcats like he had hoped, it would make up for the plague of treatments. "Really? Today?" Serena nodded, her smile infectious. "Yeah, their new center is arriving today. They're asking how fast you can get there." Katie shot to her feet and looked at her watch. Tommy had been in chemo for a few hours. He was probably done by now and resting. Serena smiled at Katie. "I'll cover for you here. Go!" Katie rushed back to the chemo center. She snatched Tommy up from his chair, smiling. "Baby, guess what? The Bobcats called. They want to take you onto the ice to meet their new player." Tommy lit up. "Really? Is it true?" Katie grinned too. "Yes, but we have to go quickly, okay, baby? Let Mama help you up." They hustled over to the arena, which was packed with cameramen and press. Tommy beamed as Katie carried him down to the side of the rink where a Bobcats rep pulled out a jersey with number 19 and swiftly threw it over Tommy's head. "Great, it fits perfectly. Come on, kiddo, let's go." Katie waved as Tommy was led out onto the ice, and an usher directed her to a faraway box seat. From above the arena, Katie watched as players came out onto the ice in a frenzy, working around the rink in an impressive formation. And then, a masked player in the number 19 flew out onto the ice, heaving a hockey stick in his arms and wheeling around all the other Bobcats so fast he made them look like they were in slow motion. Although she couldn't see his face beneath his hockey mask, Katie found herself enraptured by the mystery player's movements. His muscular legs pumped furiously across the ice, and his long blonde curls swayed as he swung his hockey stick and slapped the hockey puck into the goal. He finished his routine by dramatically skating around the edge of the rink and stopped short in front of Tommy, unleashing a flurry of shaved ice. Katie couldn't help but feel a brimming attraction toward the mystery man. And who wouldn't? His long, built legs, his strong chest, his stunning athleticism. Then, as he ushered Tommy next to him to take a photo, the man took off his mask and smiled. And Katie nearly fell out of her seat. It had been 4 years, but her heart skipped a beat the second she saw him. The father of her child. The son of the woman who had tried to murder her. Logan Reeves, number 19 and the Bobcats' new center, hugged Tommy close, blissfully unaware that the boy was his own. "Smile, Tommy. We're gonna remember this forever."